British Columbia, Canada. Base nurse said there's only two genders.
He ain't lying.
Expert says, no, not really.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
What? I'm Jasper Gonzo, and this is what's next. Good Monday, everyone. Jasper Gonzo here, another episode of What's Next, your daily dose of common sense and facts. Hope you're enjoying this day. Tranny madness. Pretty much we've been dealing with this nonsense for the better part of 3 to 5 years now. You would think story after story after story after story of this nonsense that people would wake up to it. Some have. A lot of people have, especially here in the States. But in Canada, well, things are a little bit slower. One base nurse says, yeah, there's only two genders. So-called expert says, yeah, you're wrong, and now your job is on the line because of it. Really? Not surprised. Let's take a look. This comes out of the post-millennial. Expert claims sex is non-binary as British Columbia nurse fights to retain her job after being based and says there's only two genders. Last month, on day 3 of 11 in a disciplinary hearing of Canadian nurse Amy Hamm. This is an 11-day hearing. Basically, she's almost being put on trial. Who's under investigation for allegedly transphobic off-duty activity. Dr. Greta Bauer was called as an expert witness by the British Columbia College of Nurses and Midwives. As part of a full day of questioning, Bauer was asked to comment on the position statement of Canadians women-based sex-based rights group, which Hamm is a co-founder. It was during this part of the questioning that Bauer made some interesting statements, such as, quote, we can't say that there are only two sexes, and suggested that some men cease to be male when they age, while some women who give birth to male babies cease to be female. This is a so-called expert. Bauer, who is a professor of epidemiology and biostatistics at Schmuck School, more like Schmuck, School of Medicine and Dentistry, the University of Western Ontario, she was guided through her testimony by Barbara Finley, a legal counsel for the college. Of course, she was guided, who announced that she, her pronouns, of course, were requested that her name be written without capital letters. While Finley has stated this simply as a preference, there is a growing lowercase movement that will only use capital letters to acknowledge Indigenous oppression. Wacky Canadians, I'll tell you. Finley took Bauer through a 10-point position statement and asked her to explain the ways she disagreed with it. Point 1. Sex is distinct from gender. Material, biological reality was the only way Bauer didn't have an issue with. In response to point 2, there are only two sexes. Now we have a problem. Female and male. Bauer said, sex is multidimensional. Yes, it's like the multiverse. And people may have female characteristics for one dimension of a sex and male characteristics of another. Or being particularly characteristics that are assumed to be biologically male or female. You assume. Yes, assume the position. In this part, Bauer's testimony she referred to only as two sexes, male and female, to somehow make the point that there are more than two sexes. She then took exception to point 3, of course, disorders of sexual development. Yes, sexual dysphoria, sometimes referred to as intersex, exists, but people with DSDs are either female or male. By using classic trans activist tactics, suggest that people are born with chromosomal abnormalities are neither male or female. I'll give you an example with Turner syndrome, said the expert. Chromosomally, I'm butchering that word, I know it. XO. So is that male or female? The answer, which was not provided by Bauer or Finley, is of course that women with Turner syndrome are female. Turner syndrome is a disorder of sexual development that can be only found in females. So, of course, she was based. It's a little similar to what happens with Y chromosomes in lost males in later times and sometimes, where a lot of blood cells may be XO. Continue Bauer. This is a lot of technical jargon. Is that male or female? She asked, before going on to liken this woman with Turner syndrome. Follow the logic. Your grandfather may actually be your grandmother, and you didn't even know it. We can't say there are only two sexes, and even when we're looking at it one-dimensionally, like with chromosomes, we can't say there are only two sexes. Bauer went on, without actually naming even the third sex. It's not the case that everyone's XX or XY. Canadian nurse Amy Hamm is basically being put on trial, an 11-day grilling, because she was based. She said there's only two sexes, male and female. But the so-called expert says, no, 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 it's multidimensional. You know, there are tens of thousands of genders that you may not know. Your mother may have been your father. Your father may have been your mother. Do you have sisters? No, they're your brothers. Your grandfather, yes, is your grandmother. Your grandmother, yes, is your grandfather. So we really don't know. This is the continuous stupidity that we have regarding the leftists, regarding progressives, regarding the woke mob. These are the idiots that continue to be hauled out as so-called experts when they act like total asses and make fools out of themselves when they try to explain multi-genders. And while you have the nurse just sits back with popcorn in her hand going, yeah, there's two sexes. Prove me wrong. Well, you can't, because there are only two sexes, because it's called science. It's called biology. It's called gender. It's called gender. Well, it is a gender, but it's called genetics. And of course, because he made it so. In the end of the day, I think more than likely she will lose her job. Or unless a group of nurses and doctors step forward and say, you know what? There are only two. If you're going to fire her, you're going to have to fire all of us. But I don't see that happening. So I hope she holds on to her job. Because sadly, this stupidity, this assholery is going to continue. And with that being said, I'm Jasper Gonzo. This is What's Next. Want to see more just like this? Please leave a comment below. Like it, share it, subscribe to it. And we'll catch you guys next time. Peace.